Welcome to the podcast with not enough brain cells and too many mouths. It's off topic, where we just kind of ramble about things and see where the conversation goes, hopefully in an entertaining fashion. Today, I was trying to figure out a topic. I was trying to come up with some stuff, brainstorming, thinking about what would be a cool thing to discuss about. And then I was like, well, let's discuss what cool is. I'm not a fan of a lot of modern lingo. I will not deny. I'm a bit of a boomer when it comes to my verbiage. Still using words like yeet and YOLO, outdating much of the modern language. But when it comes to these new verbs and nouns and slang that everyone's starting to use, I cannot lie that aura kind of has something going for it. There's a lot of media, there's a lot of music, movies, TV shows, books, and just in real life that I've been seeing this word thrown. And I'm gonna be honest, there's something about it that it fascinates me.
The
So
word
yeah, we're gonna
aura
talk
itself
about
kind of has
aura
some
farming.
aura. The word aura itself kind
Exactly,
of has some
it's got a
aura.
nature.
That's pretty
Very
swag.
well chosen word.
By the way,
So yeah, we're just gonna discuss that.
the specific topic will probably be titled Coolness Factor as opposed to aura, because not everybody might understand aura, but aura is what we're discussing. Coolness Factor, aura.
Coolness Factor is aura before aura had aura.
Yeah. Plus 10,000 aura.
Storyteller. Literally, as a storyteller, I find like lots of really cool aura moments, for lack of a better term, throughout all sorts of things. And I can tell you a lot of like my definition of what is cool comes from the film Tron Legacy. So I figured I'd start off the conversation there. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Tron Legacy.
Is it a movie game?
Okay, so I'll briefly explain the film and encourage everyone who is listening to
is that the old CGI
watch
one?
the film.
Like one of the first CGI ones ever.
The first one was Tron. So just plain Tron was, I think, in the 80s.
Okay, this is the second one?
Groundbreaking effects. Tron Legacy was the second one. It was a sequel in the early 2000s, I think, maybe late 2000s.
I think that's the one I saw.
I have only seen the first Tron once, and it was like in middle school. I grew up on Tron Legacy. The first one is kind of campy. The effects obviously do not hold up great today. But the whole process and how they went into making it and everything is so cool. But Tron Legacy is the one that like cooked. Probably my favorite film of all time, and it's just there's something about it.
I remember
when they have like, dark film. Yeah, dark film, bright lights, fantastic action, and I mean the Daft Punk score alone makes the film in the conversation for the greatest of all time.
Oh no!
Daft Punk came in and did the entire orchestration. Like they were offered help. They said, "Hey, we can get another composer in here to work with you," and they were like, "Nah, hold my beer. We got this." And they did. I mean, if you talk to anyone who's watched this film, regardless of their thoughts on the rest, they'll be like, "Yes, no, the score is peak." So it's kind of my definition of what aura is very heavily based on this. Just like everything about it, the villains, just like the way they walk, the way they move, the way the camera moves along, and like the score works with them. It just all puts together something that you watch and you're just like, I'm in the presence of greatness. And yeah. So I mean, bounce off of that. What are like things that you guys would use as a definition of like how did you discuss?
I don't know. I don't know why this is like one of the first things that comes to my head when I think of something really cool. I think of a laser shark. Like a shark shooting lasers out of its eyes.
Oh my god.
I feel like that's cool, right? Maybe I'm just crazy.
Laser shark.
I mean, sharks are cool, and then you gave them lasers.
Exactly.
And lasers are cool too. So like, we're winning and winning. We're winning. We're double winning.
Exactly.
I can't stop winning.
Let's go gambling.
When we think of cool,
cool.
When we think of cool, we think of Chainsaw Man, the anime.
Okay.
Something about like an excessive amount of gore and violence just tickles our little monkey brain. But which is not normal and
I mean,
is
all like
concerning.
action movies are kind of cool though. Let's be honest.
Yeah. Well, the thing about Chainsaw Man is, for those of you who do not know the premise, it is a guy who gets fused with who gets fused with a chainsaw devil. And then gets the ability to turn into Chainsaw Man, which is literally just a guy with chainsaw for a face and arms.
The Chainsaw Devil?
Yes.
Oh my.
Okay.
And then he goes off and he gets recruited by a devil hunting company to go hunt more devils. And the whole thing is literally just him running, like, at least the one season that they have of the anime right now, the manga is a lot longer and a lot more in-depth and has a lot more plot to it. But the anime itself right now, well, the anime is also only one season, so it only covers like a couple of books worth of the manga content. But the anime is literally him running around chopping things to pieces with these chainsaws, and it's just, it's so good. The animation is incredible. The storyline sucks absolute ass. There's an entire plot point about him wanting to touch titties.
What?
Oh my word.
It is not for the faint of heart, and it is not for children whatsoever. It is very much an M-rated show. But it is so badass, and the animation and the fight scenes are so good. It's just peak anime.
I mean, chainsaws themselves are like pretty sick. I mean, like you have all like the old like horror movies, like the old chainsaw horror movies. But then you have like video games where chainsaws become like weapons, even though they're probably not that effective at all.
Yeah, the Doom games come to mind. The modern Doom games come to mind.
Like,
oh my gosh, the Doom game with the there was some. Oh yeah, it was a chainsaw shield, and then the like gun that like grinds demon skulls.
Oh my god!
The new one, the one that we're playing through right now on our channel. Yeah, it's good.
Ages.
Yeah, Doom the Dark Ages. It's so much fun. It feels so much better than the other two modern Doom games. Between being able to block, being able to actually parry, and then like the time to kill is
that's amazing.
Yeah, the time to kill is so much lower. So you can kind of like, there's like a heavy demon called like a I think it's the Hell Knight. And in Doom Eternal, even at highest level of play, its time to kill is probably about 4 seconds. In Doom the Dark Ages, it's probably about 1.5 seconds. So you dash into it, like smash its skull in with the shield, hit it with the triple shotgun blast, throw the shield so that the shield is stuck in it, hit it with the triple shotgun blast, and then glory kill it. And it takes about 1.5 seconds to kill the thing. It takes about 1.5 seconds to kill the thing as opposed to 4 seconds. It's so good.
The combo is crazy.
I mean, what's cooler than Doom? Let's be honest.
Yeah, you don't get much cooler than the Doom games. I feel like that's something that's so strange, is that we just mentioned two things that are very cool. For some reason, so we have always had a fascination with demonology. There's just something about demons that's so badass. Like, I know that's not right to say as like a Christian individual.
Well, you're talking about like
the way that the way that media portrays demons specifically. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I guess that's fair. But like the way that media portrays demons and hell, it's just so badass.
Then, like, biblical.
Yeah. But the way that media portrays demons is just often like really badass, which is kind of what we think of when we think of cool.
Stuck in my head.
That's
now.
kind of provided two different like sides of a coin, where we have like Tron Legacy, which is cool in how slick and clean it is, and then you have like Doom, which is cool in how like rugged and tough it is.
Rugged, tough,
and it's like
or organic is the word that we would use, like kind of meaty. If you guys have ever heard this from the Doom Eternal soundtrack, the song Meat Hook, if you have not, go look that up. It's a great instrumentation. It's a great piece. Whatever instrument Mick Gordon used for the main thing, is we have described as organic. It's so good. It's like It's so throaty. It's great.
I don't know what that sounded like in person, but let me tell you, the distortion that came through on my end actually made it so much cooler. Like, some live. Yeah, it's working.
It's got that kind of grit to it. It's got like a fleshy, organic feel to it. It's so good.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's like sci-fi things that like lasers and other lasers.
Lasers and more lasers.
A lot of things from Star Wars are pretty cool.
Star Wars is iconic.
Well, I think Star Wars does an interesting thing. Go ahead.
Yep. No, you go.
You go. You're the host. Go ahead.
No, as the host, I demand you go because my thought is probably going to bounce off of yours.
Fuck you. Anyway. Sorry, that came out without us. That came out without us thinking. What we were gonna say is, especially the early, Star Wars movies had something like revolutionary known as like a lived-in world, where everything was like. So we've kind of drawn this conclusion where there are two kinds of cool. There is the earthy cool, and then there's the kind of like fantasy perfect cool. Or not fantasy, but like sci-fi, like perfect angular, like everything is very uniform. Yeah, kind of like things are a very uniform cool. Yeah, so like sci-fi and fantasy.
Dinosaurs are cool.
Sci-fi and fantasy, like dinosaurs that fit into like that organic, or you have like the fantasy like idealistic like perfectionism fantasy or like.
Although once you get into D&D, it's nerdy.
Yeah. But kind of something interesting about Star Wars that we think makes Star Wars so unique is that it did mix that blend of like perfectionism, like angular, like everything is perfect, but then everything gets coated over with a layer of grit. Everything is kind of like extended to again that theory of like a lived-in space where or a lived-in universe where even though up until that point all the Star Trek movies and stuff, or I don't think did Star Trek come out before Star Wars? Am I wrong about that?
Star Trek was started in the 60s, yeah.
Yeah,
I was pretty sure it was before.
Yeah, so like the early Star Trek stuff was all like angular, everything was perfectly clean. And even on like the organic planets they were on, not just like in the spaceship, everything was like picturesque, everything was perfect. And then what Star Wars introduced was, as we said, a lived-in universe where everything is not perfect. There's a layer of imperfection on top of the idealistic world that kind of gives it a more realistic feel. But we think also kind of combines that like gritty, just we're taking this way further than we intended to, but that gritty coolness and the like ideal sci-fi coolness.
This is a very, very good subject.
This is progressing very well. The thing that kind of popped out to me as you were discussing that is like we were talking about these things that make things cool, and we're talking about how like we realize there's like a sort of a futuristic coolness and then like an archaic, gritty coolness. Yeah. And it's like the things that make something cool seem to almost be like the further something is from reality. Because if you look at what's cool, most people aren't going to say, well, yeah, you know, the apartment building next door just looks really cool. The modern architecture is really cool. Like, but at the same time, like, you need separation from reality. But then just like you were saying, Star Trek had this very far-fetched, like, clean, tidy thing. And then Star Wars brought it a little closer to reality, made it a little more, like, broken and lived in and, like, real. And that almost made it. I am a Star Wars fan. I want to preface this. I do not think Star Trek is bad. I do not hate on Star Trek. I love Star Trek. My dad's a huge fan. So take everything I'm saying with that perspective. But Star Wars is undeniably had a greater cultural impact, I would argue, on the like general population.
Yeah.
Star Trek is very loved. It's got a perfectly great fan base. It's like very large. But Star Wars is bigger. And it's had a lot more iconic like impact on society. And I think a part of that is just because it's a little more like it found that perfect balance between what is cool and different and unique and fresh versus how do we make this feel real enough to be drawing people in. And that is kind of that idea of we found that like lived in layer to apply
Yeah.
to this other.
Another aspect of cool that I'd like to bring up.
Go for
Like
it.
you have like cool like future, cool past. But what about cool present? No, I'm sorry. That's but like
Well, no,
like
there is some. Go on.
no, I was going to say that. So like you know if you like see some I don't know maybe this is subjective, but like you see something like someone made like you know there's like a bunch of YouTubers that make like stupid stuff like a Nerf gun that's like scaled up, like Mark Rober
Yep.
and all those things. What
Literally
they do
just our
is
friend
cool,
Caden.
I'd say.
Literally just our friend Caden with his
When,
basement full of 3D printed Nerf guns.
when someone makes something like I don't know, like a calculator in Minecraft, that's cool, I'd say. But maybe that's just
Mhm.
an
Well,
opinion.
we would argue that
Yep.
that is leaning a little bit into that futuristic aspect, where it's kind of the evolution of technology.
The future is now.
The future is now kind of thing, like evolution of technology. I think we think people kind of have something that we were going to point out is that people like things that are like them. They just by human nature, we feel the most comfortable in a setting where we are surrounded by people and things that are like-minded. But the
Mhm.
things that stick out to us as cool and interesting and stuff that we want to interact with as especially in like a fantasy roleplay kind of setting are things that are unlike us. And the more unlike us they are, the more interesting they are.
Which makes them
Yep.
cool.
Which makes them cool, yes.
And then to bounce onto that idea of like the modern cool, there is like so much because like you can so you tie it back to aura and aura farming, like that's totally something you can do in person, in real life. Like partially just because that's how slang develops, but like there are things that make us stand out, make us go, oh, that was cool when we like land a random trick shot or like do really good on some sort of I don't test. There was a thing I had in mind and I lost train of thought. But that idea of like you can look cool if you have a great outfit that someone sees and like, yo, you got that drip, right on.
He
And you're
real
like,
drippy
okay,
with it.
cool. Or looking fresh. But
Drip
like that
into
is
aura.
yeah. And then those are the types of things that like when something like that works, that's like it stands out from the normal. It's not like your standard. It's like, oh, that's it catches an eye. It catches attention. And that's
Eye
like
catching. That's
kind
a
of
good
what
word.
aura is
That's
all
a
about.
eye catching. That's a good
That's a
word
word.
for that. That's a good synonymous word for that. Something that's eye catching. Yeah. Which kind of harkens back to our point of like uh something that's abnormal or not necessarily abnormal but abnormal for that person's experience. Um
Mhm.
Although there is definitely like certain coolness in things that you live in. So like we're thinking of our technically he's a cousin. He's our or we consider him a cousin. He's our mom's cousin's long-term boyfriend. Um he and us are very close and he has a fascination with guns. And he was in the military for a really long time. Um Saw quite a bit of action actually. But that was something that he lived in and something that he found an immense interest in was living in a space where you're constantly around firearms. That's part of your regular life. But it can still be something fascinating. So
Mhm.
there is some point against our point of like what is normal is not interesting, and then what is cool is stuff that's unlike what you're used to.
Yeah, that's true.
So there are always, I mean, with anything, there's exceptions to the rules.
Yep.
I think
Absolutely.
cool more aligns with like how popular it is, I guess.
But not necessarily.
Not
'Cause, like,
necessarily.
Yeah, I
there'll be
know not
things that one person
necessarily,
thinks is
but it's
cool.
definitely a correlation.
Society will try to tell you that. We don't think that's true. We find a lot of things cool that a lot of society looks down on, or society kind of treats like it is not
It's
super
very
interesting.
subjective as well, but
Yeah. But I mean,
I would
society
say that
is
like things that are cool could become more societal, like popular, but it requires
yeah.
something to be widely perceived as cool, which can often change over time. Like there will be films that release and everyone's like, this is awful. And then later, you're like, oh, this is actually really cool. Or there will be music that someone's like, this is really bad. And then a couple years down the road, you got some jazz musician who's like, wait, hold up, they cooked. You know,
Cool.
like.
okay. That's actually really interesting. Things do seem to fade out of the public's popular eye with time. And granted, it's only been, when did the first Star Wars movie come out? Like
1977.
Yeah. It's only been 50 years. 50? Yeah, almost 50 years since it came out.
Ugh. That's crazy.
But it is still viewed in the public's eye as something that is so incredibly cool. And by extension, other like films and stuff. Like, I mean, The Princess Bride. I guess that's kind of more minor, but like for our family, it was a major thing was watching The Princess Bride. It was our dad's favorite show, or favorite movie, because he watched it as a kid. But like that's something that we found cool is all of just everything that went into that movie. It's just a very cool movie.
Absolutely. Well, and then there's different types of cool, because I would also agree that is a great film, but like cool is not the first word I would use to describe it. Iconic, fire, like, so there's things that you might see in one way as like good, but that not everyone would see that as cool.
No, we
You
guess
know what
that's
I mean?
fair. I don't think
Like
we
a
would
lot of
necessarily see it and think, oh, cool. I think we just have a correspondence to, like, that movie is nostalgic, I guess is what we're thinking.
like a lot of games I
There is
play,
like, absolutely still things like that.
Yeah.
like games like Repo, Lethal Company, or like Blood in the Clock Tower. I wouldn't call those cool, but
They're still
I still enjoy
enjoyable.
them, right?
Yeah.
And there can be cool things in them. Because having something cool doesn't necessarily make it
That's true. That's
itself
true.
cool.
Like I think the game design is cool. That's because I'm a nerd.
Same.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess that brings up another point. It's interesting that games that generally are well designed are ones that would be well, I guess this isn't really related to cool, so never mind. But we were gonna say kind of they're more widely accepted if they have good game design. But I guess that kind of follows.
Well, I was more saying like I take more interest in like the design, how it was designed, why it was designed.
Yeah,
I find that cool.
yeah, we do too. Isaac, you're supposed to be leading this.
I'm just giving everyone a moment to gather their thoughts.
I mean, we needed like a moment of silence together. Oh, that's... I was gonna say, when I think of like aura, like there's like the aura of like, oh, that person is super cool, but then there's the aura of that person is kind of threatening.
Yes. There's definitely different types of aura.
Yeah, that's what we were just gonna say. That brings up a good point, is that
Like,
aura is just kind of the energy a person exudes. So it's kind of...
because that's like where the word comes from.
Yeah.
Like aura is, I don't know what the exact definition of, but like basically what you said. It's like what energy they're giving off. So, but like just modern society started to view it as cool. But there is like lots of other types. Like villains in things can have an aura where you're not like they're not cool, but they have a very intimidating aura
We think
that
villains are
is
cool, but again, we're mentally ill.
Exactly.
a lot. A lot are there is a lot of very cool
There's
villains.
some pretty cool villains though.
Star Wars does that really well, but in general, absolutely.
Oh my gosh, Darth Vader, literally the coolest villain to ever exist. He's got
You just nailed
so
it.
much aura. He's got like his aura is literally infinite.
Crazy. It's crazy.
Bro's got wild aura.
And what's crazy is he didn't really have that much as Anakin, but the second he turned to the dark side, it just like bumped up a few notches, stepped up his game.
Why do I feel like going in a T pose gives one aura?
Because it does. Remember yesterday when we were in the pool and Sebastian started T-posing to assert dominance? That's where that phrase comes from. T-pose to assert dominance.
Yeah, but like, why is that specific pose related to a threatening aura?
We feel like it makes you seem larger,
Yeah, I guess it does.
which is just intrinsically like ingrained in our brains as like, oh, you're bigger, so you're more terrifying, you're scarier, you have more power over us than we have over you. It kind of
I think it has like, I think it has like a kind of uncanniness too. Like, there's no reason that someone should be standing in such a way to look like a T pose, right? It's kind of like weird. Like, why would you do that?
That brings up the question: what's scarier, somebody brandishing a knife at you, or somebody T-posing at you, or somebody T-posing while brandishing a knife?
Okay, that's terrifying.
Let the record show I did have a Professor T pose on us all at one point.
Oh God.
Not intentionally. He's an older gentleman, not old by any means. But like, you know, not in the know of anything young and like fresh, modern, whatever, our generation. And he was talking about personal space and how that's a thing because we were like preparing for a trip, and he's like, make sure you're giving people personal space. And so he T-posed and then proceeded to spin around a couple times. Bro just started like spinning around the room while T-posed. It was wild. Not prepared for that.
Microwave. The mac and cheese from the microwave.
Start spinning.
Dun 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 dun.
Dun dun dun.
Yeah. Dun 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 dun.
Okay.
Dun dun
dun dun dun.
So, kind of a thought that just came to mind. Upcoming is the Superman film, the new DCU kickoff. James Gunn, David Cornsweet. That I think personally, I'm very excited for this film.
You're talking to two people who don't seem to care much, so
I'm aware that I'm getting to a point where you will.
All right.
I'm leading to a point. That's not specifically about the film.
Okay.
Just the thing that it's got me thinking about is how having aura and being cool. It's kind of like where I'm jumping towards. But being cool is not necessarily just like looking cool. Like Superman as a character is literally some of the dorkiest like character design you've ever seen. Bright colors.
That's true.
Like, you can't like it's great. It's a fantastic design. All the costumes look cool, but they shouldn't. And there's something about like, their optimism. Like there's something about the bright, like cheery, like ignoring the problems of the world that makes them cool. That's like it's like clean, but in a dorky way. Because you have Tron Legacy, which is a very dark and kind of gritty, smooth, clean look, and then this is just like no, it's just bright and cheery, but somehow that's dope. And like you can see Superman and be like, that's one of the coolest dudes I've ever seen. even though he shouldn't be. Like, this dude should be getting wedgies in high school. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. No, that's so true.
like, because it's just interesting to think about how many different ways you can be cool and you can have this presence without being like broody or dark and
Like, okay.
overlooking everything.
Imagine like trying to explain this to someone like who's never heard of superheroes, like an alternate universe, right? And you're like, okay, they have no special abilities, but they dress up like a bat, and they have a lot of money. Now this is the coolest superhero ever.
Literally. And like,
Oh, you know who else
yeah,
is the
modern
coolest
is
superhero
making darker
ever?
brooding, but
You know who
yes.
else is the coolest superhero
Condiment
ever?
King?
Oh my god, he infused his condiments with napalm! Run!
Sorry, what were you gonna say?
Moon Knight. Also Daredevil. Daredevil also falls under that category.
Daredevil's facts.
Daredevil, Moon Knight, characters like that who are, but specifically Moon Knight. There's Isaac, we already talked about this. Sam mentioned this when we were hanging out a couple of weeks ago. There's a scene in one of the comics where he's fighting Taskmaster, who, for those of you who do not know, Taskmaster has the ability to copy anybody's fighting style after seeing it just once. And Taskmaster goes, "I will not copy your fighting style." Huh?
What is this from?
One of the Marvel comics. It's
Okay.
it's Moon Knight. Moon Knight.
Okay.
And it's Taskmaster goes like essentially refuses to copy his fighting techniques because he does not care if he gets hurt. He will tank through any damage he takes and beat your ass even if it costs him an arm and a leg. He is also absolutely insane. He's like canonically mentally ill, so he's just kind of insane, but Moon Knight is such a good character.
Love some
I don't know
clinically
much about
insane
Moon Knight.
superheroes.
Oh shit, our water bottle's all the way over there. Fuck.
Like,
Hold on.
we know the
still be in
moon
the
comes out
ruins.
at night.
What?
Yeah, we know the moon comes out at night.
Oh yeah, Moon Knight. We almost said those two things are synonymous. They
The
are
moon
not
is
synonymous.
also cool. Low-key.
Yeah, I guess.
The moon is cool.
Like,
Okay.
highly recommend just going out and looking at the moon sometimes.
There's something about nighttime that just ups the cool factor. Like, definitely. Like, daytime's okay, but have you ever seen the night?
Facts.
No, I haven't. It's too dark. I don't know.
I don't know.
What in particular are you thinking that makes the night cooler, other than like temperature?
Yeah, we were gonna say temperature.
Beat me to it. Beat me to it.
Fuck you.
There's something about like darker tones that just makes things. No, you know what it is? All right, this is gonna sound like really cheesy. Bear with me.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
When you're in the darkness and the light like breaks through, it just like highlights something and their eyes are drawn to it in a way that's like there's all of this darkness and yet there's these things that are just like popping out. It's like the light shines brighter in the dark. And so when you have that contrast in the day, everything's just lit. You're just looking like, all right, look, there's all the sun hitting the things and there's the sun. But then the moon comes up, the sun goes down, and you have all the stars in the sky. You got like street lights, any lights reflecting out of houses, and it's just the light sticks out and becomes this like really interesting contrast that sometimes doesn't feel real.
Yeah, actually, I will say, like, looking at a city, like if looking at a city at night is sometimes just a lot cooler than during the day.
I don't know.
Like, especially
we just
with like
also like the
colorful
night.
lights.
Darkness is better than light. Darkness is comforting. It's not as harsh on our eyes. But it is like legitimately like a coolness factor, like a vibe. Like, think about it. I'm like, sure, there are cool, like, daytime superheroes, but there are cooler nighttime superheroes.
That's true. That's true. It seems like there's a lot more like.
Ooh, that's a good point. Something about the unknown is cool. Something about not being
Yep.
able to know what it is, or like that sense of danger, I guess, is what we're trying to get at.
Risk.
Yeah, that kind of like makes our heart beat a little faster, and probably like any amount of adrenaline is going to make something seem cooler.
That's true.
So, which is probably also why, well, would we consider like roller coasters cool?
I think they're pretty cool.
Yeah, they're fairly cool. Something else that makes stuff cool is kind of like when something has a lot of science behind it.
Yeah, I was just thinking like the engineering of the roller coasters.
Yeah,
pretty neat.
That's what we thought too.
Shame brain cell.
We share a brain cell.
Which is good, because I have none.
You're supposed to be hosting! What do you mean you have none? You gave us this topic literally an hour ago. Or probably an hour and a half or 2
And it's
hours
one
ago
of the best topics.
Are you clowning on our topics?
Well,
No, clowning on the conversation we have regarding the topics.
Oh, well, screw you guys, I guess.
I think they're all just
I'm
false
leaving.
memories.
No.
This is the only real
They're
one.
all just... Oh my god, we haven't done that in forever! You're right, they are just false memories.
That's why this one's the coolest, you know?
Yeah. Because it's the only real one.
So can we think of anything else? Just like, gonna open the floor. Any other types of things that are cool that we haven't, not like another movie that we think is really cool or something, but like any
Explosions.
music. Yes.
Explosions
Fire.
are
Fire is
super
so
cool.
cool.
Cool guys
Like the
don't look at
coolest
explosions.
feeling in a video game is when you like explode a wall, or like I don't know, like in an action game you just like bust through a wall, and you like pop
We
off.
just got a flashback to Doom Eternal when the Doomslayer launches himself through a
Exactly!
cannon and goes smashing through a wall, and there's just a bunch of demons there, and they run away because he just came through a fucking wall in the middle of space.
I'm more thinking of the finals because obviously I am, but
Of course you are.
Exactly
you
what
and
I
your fellow
mean.
you and your fellow gooners.
For
You
context.
should probably
For
you should
context.
yeah, give
For
context,
context.
otherwise
For
people are gonna be super
context.
confused.
For context, there's a weapon in the game called the goo gun, where you can shoot goo on the ground, and it's like makes a wall basically. And people who use the item, there's a joke where everyone who uses the goo gun regularly are called gooners. That is the context.
Yeah, it's not what you usually think of when you think of gooning, fortunately. But Cohen just randomly sent us a picture or a video with no context where Cosmo says, "Cosmo, what did you say? Something like I can't be cheering for my fellow gooners.
Yeah.
I can't root for my fellow gooners." And everybody in that group chat was like, "Excuse me, what the fuck is Cosmo talking about?"
I beg your pardon.
Beg your pardon.
Beg your pardon.
Yeah, so that's I think we were streaming the next day when we asked you about that.
The finals is a pretty cool game. Anyway, what were you saying?
Caden, I think we were streaming the next day, and we asked you on stream why you were talking about gooning. Or maybe we were just playing solo. Maybe we were just playing off stream,
I
but
don't
we were definitely
know.
playing Repo the next day, and we walked into that hallway with the whiteboard that the huntsman has killed us in thousands of times.
Oh
And
my god.
you know the one I'm
Oh, I
talking
hate to
about
see it.
too.
Yeah, I know what you're talking. Well, there's a bunch of whiteboards on that map.
No, the one that has like the whiteboard diagonally right through that one door that you can hide behind.
Oh, yeah, I guess.
The hallway that's kind of shaped like a C, a backwards C. A
Yeah,
backwards
yeah,
C?
yeah. I
Yeah,
know what you're
backwards
talking
C.
about.
Yeah.
I don't know. Usually, I'm too fast to worry about monsters in that game.
Okay,
Yeah, because
flex.
Flying is pretty cool.
flying is cool. We feel
Flying
like
is
that's a fantasy that everybody
terrifying.
has at
But
some point.
there's something about just feeling like free. The idea of being able to like go with no limits, just fly up
Freedom is cool. Too
and
bad we don't
feel
have that in the
your
fucking
face.
US of A.
I want to be free. I want to
Want
be
to break
free.
free.
Great song.
We love that
Rock
you keep
music.
crunching on some kind of something or another, and you keep turning off your mic, but not before we hear the bag being rustled.
Damn. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. The sweet tart, the chewy sweet tarts, are very good.
Valid.
But are they cool?
I don't know. Is candy cool?
We don't think so.
I don't know.
Like candy's good, but like I wouldn't call it cool.
Yeah.
Flashing back once again to that one Markiplier Makes video where Ethan Nestor goes, "Sex is cool, but you ever had a pie?"
Pie.
Or no, it was sex is great, but have you ever had a pie?
Pie flavor.
Oh boy, what flavor? Pie flavor. Oh, music. That was something that Isaac had mentioned that could potentially be something cool.
Yep.
Let's see. Cool music.
Oh, something about rock music.
Yeah, anything like heavy or also like jazz. Anything that we have a particular taste for. Or most of what makes up those genres. Not most of what makes up the jazz genre, but definitely a portion of what makes up the jazz genre.
Yeah.
But most of the rock and metal genre is really cool. There's just something about those heavier noises. Again, it's like the darkness, that's cool. Or at least to us, that's just kind of like the darkness is the cool thing.
It's a lot of rock and doom.
Technically
That's
it's
true.
argent metal.
And
Yeah,
there's
heavy
like
metal, whatever.
associations type cool too. Like things that are just associated with cool things, so we consider them cool too. I can't think of any specific examples, but there's definitely like gotta be something out there.
Yeah.
Like trying to think of something. Why is this so difficult? I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Okay, sort of going off rock. I mean, guitars I feel like are generally seen as cool. But if
Especially the
you
more
look at it,
distorted they
it's
are.
not like yeah. But
I
like a
think
guitar
playing
by
the
itself doesn't look that cool.
I think like even playing like not like a rock guitar, but like just a normal guitar is pretty cool.
Well,
Yeah.
But like playing a
any instrument is
ukulele
cool.
is not cool.
That's not
it can
necessarily
be, but
true.
it's not inherent.
Well, yeah, but
We feel like
when you think
playing any instrument is cool.
yeah, that's true. But like when you think of cool instruments, you do not think ukulele as like your first thing.
Yeah.
No, we think guitar and piano. Saxophone is pretty dope.
I was just gonna say that. I was just starting to say that.
Saxophone is pretty dope. Which both of you two play saxophone, so
good.
honestly, screw you guys.
Heck yeah. It's just got such a great sound.
It does.
Exactly.
We've actually played in bands with both of you.
It's crazy.
Heck yeah.
Haven't thought about that in a while.
I think about that song on a daily basis.
Yeah, that was a good portion of our young teenagehood.
Sir Duke. Anyway.
Is Weird Al cool?
No. But I love his
He's
music.
great. Great. I don't know about cool.
I think
trying to
It's
think
more
if there's like a
funny,
song.
more funny and comedic than like cool.
Mm-hmm.
Would you consider comedy acts cool?
that's what we were just thinking. Improv is definitely cool.
I don't know. Improv seems like the least cool thing you could do.
Really? Because to us it seems like the most cool. The ability to come up with something on the spot and make it funny. Like, that takes skill.
Yeah. But like
Improv music is cool. I feel like I agree that improv comedy is cool, just not to the same extent I would consider other things cool. But improv music, especially jazz.
Yeah. Like a lot of things.
Cool. Like,
improvising things is very cool, but I don't think improv comedy is cool. Does that make sense?
We think it can
the
be.
skill is cool.
We guess we have a different. The two of us have different.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, that's fair that different people have different opinions on what's cool or not.
Cool is not objective.
Cool is not objective.
So, yeah. Yeah.
You know what is cool though?
Nevadish.
Still have not gotten a DM about the Nevadish picture.
Y'all slacking.
Somebody make this happen.
Step it up, bro. You know what I think is, when it comes to music, there's like something I was thinking about as we were talking about guitar and stuff is speed. Because often things that we perceive as cool end up being things that are like faster or more high adrenaline. So like roller coasters are cool, but a merry-go-round isn't cool. And then like when you're listening to music, you're not gonna hear a slow ballad and be like, this is so cool. You're gonna be like, wow, this is really beautiful, you know?
Again, our opinion differs from yours. We think any kind of music that is musically inclined from a music theory perspective, that is intellectual music, is cool. But that's just us. Also,
well, and part of that is I just don't fully understand music theory, so like I don't fully understand. If I hear a slower song, it's going to be harder for me to pick that out.
No, yeah, we like intellectual music is our subgenre.
I just imagining, like we were just talking about rock, and then you said a merry-go-round is not cool. And then I just imagined a rock band on a merry-go-round. Everything hooked up on the merry-go-round.
That would be a sick music video, though.
we thought you were gonna say speed in related to a merry-go-round, where the merry-go-round just has rocket boosters strapped to it, and it just spins in a circle really fucking fast, and everybody, because of centripetal force, just gets yeeted off of the merry-go-round. So they gotta strap them into cages.
No, that's just like the devil's whole like ride.
Yeah.
Whatever it's called. There's a bunch of names for it. Like the alien UFO ride, the one that spins around real fast.
Yeah.
You get stuck to the walls. How cool can you make a merry-go-round?
Depends on how fast you make it. Well, at what
And
point? And it depends on the music. Yeah. At what point does a merry-go-round stop being a merry-go-round? When it's no longer merry? When it's no longer merry?
It's a merry-go-round.
The horses go up like 5 meters every time.
It's just an oversized merry-go-round that moves the same speed, but because if you sit on the outside, the way that whatever that like speed, that vector speed thing is, it seems like you're going really, really fast, even though at the center it's spinning the same speed.
You know like those bull riding things that slowly spin around? Is that a merry-go-round?
Wait, what?
You know, like the you have to stay on like a bull, like a fake bull, for like a certain amount of time, and it just like spins around and rotates.
Oh, okay, yeah, like the rodeo.
Yeah, the rodeo ride things.
We don't think so.
I don't think it's.
I don't think that would be considered.
It's not a merry-go-round, but
it'd be funny if it was.
Every single horse on the merry-go-round is also doing that.
The not so merry go round.
Last one standing wins.
Last one standing gets $100.
Mr. Beast video.
Mr.
Let's
Beast
go.
video. Last one. Today we built a 600,000 horsepower merry-go-round. Last one standing gets $100.
What a wild ride that would be.
Well, okay, the thing we were going to say about speed. Actually, something that is interesting is that Mick Gordon, when he was throwing up music for, I think it was Doom 2016.
Okay.
He first started off by doing stuff that was like 212 beats per second, 240 beats per second, 260 beats per second. And people were like, this isn't good enough. So he slowed it down and wrote stuff like Meat Hook and Rip and Tear. No, not Rip and Tear. Blood, Rust, and Guts, where they're a lot slower. They sit at around 80 to 90 beats per second. They're not faster, but in our opinion, they're cooler.
Gotcha.
So there's a point at which things become too fast, and then they become just obnoxious.
Right.
At least with music.
Well, I feel like everything that is cool has like a fine line where if you lean into it too much, it's no longer cool.
Then it's cringe.
It becomes ironic.
Yeah, you're trying too hard.
So how far do we think we could take this merry-go-round idea before it becomes too much of a problem? Before it becomes too much.
So, the merry-go-round, it's playing rock music, heavy metal.
Yeah.
It's going, like, just at the limit of being safe. The horses are all tilted to the side so that the centrifugal force keeps you on the horse. But they're all angled. The horses constantly move up and down a lot.
They're just like,
and not only are the horses moving up and down, but the entire merry-go-round.
This is a genius idea. We need to make this now.
Six Flags, hire me.
6 Flags, hire us. We'll make you. We promise you won't get sued. You will not have lawsuits on you for destruction of small children's bones.
Build a roller coaster on top of the carousel.
Yeah, but then you gotta name it the Not So Merry-Go-Round.
Exactly.
Obviously.
Not so merry, but I'll still go round. That sounds like a song title.
It does.
Not so merry, but I'll still go round.
Or can you give us a record album too? We'll make the song for this Not So Merry. That's the title of the song.
Yeah, we'll make the song for the not so merry go round. That's what the music will be called.
It uses like pipe organs. It uses all of the instruments in a normal merry-go-round, except it's pumped up to 11.
Yes, we love
Like
this idea.
organ sound, flutes, whatever else goes in carousel music.
All right. Do you think we're good? I feel like we're good to wrap it up before we try too hard and cross the line of no longer cool.
Exactly.
Yeah. Gotta stop while you're still ahead.
Literally. Okay. Well, next week we have a guest host who's going to be coming in, so I can't hand it off to them right now. So
Yeah,
be ready for that.
Hand off to
new
me.
faces.
I can deal with it. Unless you wanna do the outro.
Yeah, I can do the outro. Just roll with it.
All right.
So make sure you tune in next week for new faces, new voices, new thoughts, and probably less brain cells, to be honest, because as we know here, increasing the number of people doesn't mean much for the intelligence of the conversation. So come ready for craziness. Make sure you are subscribed and ready to listen to everything. So we're good to go. And we'll see you in the next episode. And make sure you get that Nevada chart somewhere, somehow. We're going to keep mentioning it until you do it.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Peace out.